Good Saturday evening, everyone. I just wanted to get on here and give you an update on our forecast. And here we are on the cusp of the winter weather event that has been so well advertised. I don't know where that octave came from there. But anyway, winter weather advisories are in place across a great deal of our area. So all of eastern Middle Tennessee, all those counties you see shaded there, in that turquoiseish color. It does exclude the city of Nashville at this point, so they may end up adding that in the morning, but right now they don't have that included there. But if you are in a shaded county, that means that adverse travel conditions are possible on Sunday. I would say likely up here on the plateau. Now, you'll notice those counties over in East Tennessee, along and north of I-40. Remember, I was talking about how sometimes cold air gets trapped in the valley and that prolongs the icing or even makes it possible. Well, look what's happened. That's exactly what is coming to fruition. So they went ahead and added all of those counties. So that includes those of you in Morgan County, Scott County, over toward La Follette, and of course the city of Knoxville is included in that now. And so if you were to have travel plans along I-40 to Knoxville or Nashville tomorrow morning, you're going to want to check TDOT and make sure that the roads are okay, because that is something you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on. Now, Sunday's level of concern brought to us by USA Mortgage. Charlotte Ann Goodwin is probably not proud to sponsor the one that says hazardous travel conditions throughout our Sunday morning, improving as we go through the afternoon, but you're going to still want to be careful. So we're going to call it level 3, a meteorologist mark weather alert day for sure. So Premier generators, you never know when you may need a generator. So keep Premier generators in mind if that ever comes into your head, because while we're avoiding an ice storm this time, folks, this was a close call. We said all along it's close, so we have to keep an eye on it. 100 miles. Yeah, that's close. Yep. So, and it's going to be rough in Kentucky, and not so much for the counties that border Tennessee and Kentucky on the Kentucky side, but just north of them, say just north of Monticello, just north of Somerset, if you're familiar with where those folks are. Um, 30 mile per hour north winds and a half inch to 3/4 inch of ice at least. Yeah, so they're going to have it really, 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 really rough. And we certainly feel for them, but we are certainly thankful that we're dodging that bullet. But we do have travel conditions to deal with. So the only thing that I have changed on this from the previous two outlooks is on that bottom row there. Light snow for Monday. It's looking like around a half inch, but stay tuned. I'm still not too confident on that. I feel good about telling you all we could get a half inch of snow. But I still wonder, there are still possibilities of, especially those of you on the western edges of the plateau, the Mayland, the Monterey, to if you know where Double Top is in western Fentress County on up toward Byrdstown and whatnot. I mean, there's still possibilities for you all to get closer to that inch mark. And in fact, for you in those of you in Jamestown and points north, I'm seeing more and more indications that you all will get closer to that 1 to possibly 1.5 inches of snow. We typically do get an inch or two of snow from this situation. It's just the guidance just isn't really favoring that just yet. But we'll keep an eye on things, and just know though that we do have wintry weather coming again on Monday, and that could cause adverse travel conditions. So please keep that in mind. Now, the National Weather Service in Morristown shared this graphic, and you gotta love my little dog image there. Why the headache mark? Okay, so freezing rain can be a headache in more ways than one. Okay, so the diagram on the left shows you, and I've showed you a diagram last night, but this one's pretty darn good. It shows the snowflakes starting out at the clouds, falling into that warm layer. I told you that warm air gets displaced over the cold air, and then falls back down into the cold air and freezes on contact with things. Well, that's the temperature side of things. One thing that really complicates this forecast for Sunday, and even though we're, highly confident in how all this is going to go, we are not going to get an ice storm. So let's just make sure, we're not going to get a crippling ice storm. But we do wonder how close to 0.2, 0.2 of an inch of ice, are some of y'all going to get? And one thing that could make a difference with that would be the evaporation that takes place in the air above us. So you got the cold, moist air up there where the snowflakes are. And you got the warm, moist air where the snowflake melts into a raindrop. And then as it gets closer to the surface, it falls into this dry air. And we have such dry air here at the surface. Arctic air is dry air. And so when the precipitation first starts, you're going to look on your radar and you're like, oh my gosh, it's coming. It's doing all kinds of, it's evaporating before it reaches the ground. Now, evaporation is a cooling process. So that can change that raindrop back into a snowflake or a sleet pellet. So we may see precipitation start out in the morning as snow and then change over to sleet and then over to freezing rain. But that dry air, it's got to get moistened up. And in that process, some interesting phase changes can take place with the precip, so it can really have an impact on what you get. One thing about it is sometimes a lot of the precipitation evaporates in that drier air, and you get less than what you expected. so that's another thing. So it's looking like we're all going to get a good glaze as it has from the onset of this. How close to 0.2 of an inch do some of us get? 0.25 is when you start having problems with trees and power lines. And we're still looks like we're all going to stay below that. But how close to the 0.2 do some of you all get? I think some of y'all north of Jamestown, north of Livingston, north of Oneida, I think you guys could get pretty close to that 0.2 mark. So just something for us to keep an eye on tomorrow. Forecast snow amounts for Monday, so you'll see I've come down on this a little bit. 50% chance for half inch, and then we drop on down to 20% for an inch and a quarter. And yeah, so not a big snowstorm, so not a big ice storm, not a big snowstorm. The big ice storm and snowstorm is just to our north. The severe weather is just to our south, and we're right in the middle, getting a little bit of everything. So could even hear some rumbles of thunder tomorrow night with some of the downpours. So keep in mind that temperatures will rise tomorrow night. So if you see the thermometer and it's just barely gotten up into the mid 30s by tomorrow afternoon, don't think, oh my goodness, tonight it's going to drop back below freezing. No, southerly winds are going to kick in, and that's going to keep us above freezing. In fact, temperatures will slowly rise through the night up until Monday morning when the cold air comes back. And then we see a changeover back to some snow. So M&M snow day forecast Monday and Tuesday, because if you get out Monday, you're probably going to get out Tuesday. 50% chance I'm leaving it for now. Okay. So stay tuned, because if I get more confident about more snow on Monday, then of course this will go up. But let's hold it at 50% right now. We got some more snow shower, snow flurry activity coming even into the evening hours, it looks like on Tuesday. So Lord knows it's going to be cold enough for all that to stick. So stay tuned. And we're already watching next Friday. I know this is a way out, but I've been talking about this for many days. It's just a classic scenario for there to be a winter storm in the south. Who's going to get it? That remains to be seen, but look at that. The Weather Prediction Center highlighting us right across Tennessee. So, and I don't know. I have a feeling this is how it's going to work out. So we'll see. I've had my eye on a few inches of snow from this for a while. I'll keep you posted on how that changes as we get closer to time. Folks, it's going to get cold after this wintry mix of an event. Tomorrow and Monday, we go below freezing on Monday, and I'm not sure when we come back above it. So at least through Friday, we'll be below freezing. So prepare. If you didn't prepare today, you waited too late, I'm afraid. But anyway, hopefully you're ready for it, though. The only people who really need to prepare are people who rely on electricity for their sole source of heat. And we could lose our electricity at any time with or without weather. So you should always have a backup plan for that if that's your sole source of heat. You folks have a wonderful Saturday evening, and keep looking up. I'll keep you posted on all this. I'll have a complete update in the morning. If there's anything you need to know about between now and the morning, I'll of course do a special update. You just do what you got to do and keep it right here to Meteorologist Mark.